What's going on, you guys? It's your boy Dom Kemp, and today we're here with an NFL sports podcast, the recap of Week 2 of the NFL regular season. Guys, a lot of things happened this weekend, so we're going to jump straight into it. We're going to go over the scores and, of course, how I felt about that game in particular, as well as, of course, one player retiring at halftime for the Buffalo Bills. All that and more right now. So thank you so much. Let's jump into it. So guys, welcome to another recap video. I will have more, whether it's NBA or NFL videos all throughout the week, of course, like I normally do. But let's just see what happened in week number 2. Let's go. So we started off with the Ravens and Bengals on Thursday Night Football, September 13th. Guys, I was correct in my prediction, so this time I am 1-1 on Thursday night prime time. Last matchup was Atlanta versus the Eagles, and I lost because Atlanta lost. So now the Bengals beat the Ravens, and I ended up predicting that game, so I'm happy about that. Let's actually go into the game and see who the leading players were. The final score in this one, 34-23. Cincinnati beats Baltimore. Andy Dalton ended up throwing 4 touchdown passes as well. Absolutely great game from him and no interceptions, so definitely a quality game for Andy Dalton. Joe Flacco, 32 for 55, 376 yards, 2 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. Andy Dalton, 24 for 42, 265 yards and 4 touchdowns. We go down to rushing yards. We got Alex Collins, 9 carries, 35 yards for Baltimore. And Mixon from the Cincinnati Bengals, 21 carries for 84 yards. And I believe he got injured in this game as well. Receiving yards, we got John Brown, 4 receptions, 92 yards, and a touchdown. And receiving yards for Cincinnati, we got Taj Boyd. But you guys might not think it was Taj Boyd, but he had the most receiving yards, but AJ Green had the most touchdowns in this game receiving. So definitely a good game from the Cincinnati Bengals. I believe that Cincinnati may be able to win the division over Cleveland, as well as, of course, Pittsburgh. I believe they will definitely finish above Baltimore, though, due to the fact that they have a solid roster, a solid defense, and Andy Dalton and AJ Green are hooking back up again. Moving on, we got the second game of the weekend. We got Sunday, September 16th, Chiefs and Steelers. Now, as a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, I'm not really happy about this game, but I am happy about it in fantasy because I had Patrick Mahomes starting over Deshaun Watson in fantasy, and Patrick Mahomes absolutely went off. He has 10 touchdown passes in 2 games. Are you kidding me? That's insane. But I'm so happy about him and happy for him in this one. So the Kansas City Chiefs 42, the Pittsburgh Steelers 37. That drops them to 0-1-1, 1 draw and 1 loss, and Kansas City advances to 2-0. Looking at Patrick Mahomes, 6 touchdown passes as the Chiefs hold off the Pittsburgh Steelers. Absolutely insane. And it's not like it was a home game. Patrick Mahomes went into Pittsburgh and said, let me put on a show. And he absolutely did that. 23 for 28, 326 passing yards, 6 touchdowns. Absolutely insane. Ben Roethlisberger, though, he threw the ball around all day. 39 for 60. 452 yards and 3 touchdowns. Absolutely insane shootout passing performance game from both quarterbacks in this one. Rushing yards, we got Kareem Hunt versus James Conner. 18 carries for 75 yards for Kareem Hunt. James Conner, 8 carries for 17 yards and a touchdown. So definitely a lackluster performance from James Conner. His last week outbreak was much better than that. Absolutely crazy. Receiving yards, though, we're going to take a look at Travis Kelce for Kansas City. 7 receptions, 109 yards, and 2 touchdowns. And then Jesse James for Pittsburgh, 5 receptions, 138 yards, and a touchdown. So it was pretty much the battle of the tight ends in this game, Jesse James and Travis Kelce. But I'm happy for the Kansas City Chiefs, but I'm not happy about my Pittsburgh Steelers due to the fact that they could have played much better. Not the best performance. So we shall see. Hopefully they improve on their defense. Next up was the Raiders and the Broncos, an absolute nail-biter in this one, and it came down to a last-second field goal. So the Denver Broncos win 20-19. The Oakland Raiders and John Gruden advanced to 0-2, and the Broncos advanced to 2-0. So definitely an interesting outcome in this game. We're going to take a look at passing yards. We got Derek Carr versus Case Keenum, 29 for 32, 288 yards, 1 touchdown for Derek Carr. He couldn't do anything better than that, with the exception of most likely having more touchdown passes, but 29 for 32 is a good percentage in passing for Derek Carr, especially coming off of last week against the Los Angeles Rams. We got Case Keenum, though, 19 for 35, 222 yards, and an interception. Take a look at rushing yards. We got Marshawn Lynch versus Phillip Lindsay. Marshawn Lynch, 18 carries for 65 yards and a touchdown. Phillip Lindsay, 14 carries, 107 yards. Looking at the receiving yards, we got Amari Cooper versus Emmanuel Sanders. Amari Cooper had a pretty good game. He's finally trying to be that Amari Cooper we thought he was going to be coming out of college, but we shall see as the season goes on. 10 receptions, 116 yards, no touchdowns at all. Emmanuel Sanders, same thing. 4 receptions, 96 yards, and not a touchdown for him. But other than that, that is the end of the Broncos versus the Raiders. It should be interesting to see how the Raiders bounce back, end up trading Khalil Mack to the Chicago Bears, and I think Chicago is having a blast with Khalil Mack. Even though they lost to the Green Bay Packers, he still has to get his football legs under him in that sense. But we shall see what happened against Seattle last night. We're going to take a look at the Panthers and Falcons. Yes, a very good game. A very controversial late hit on Cam Newton. I saw that in the highlights. It was not pretty. He looked concussed. Not about to lie about that, but it seems like it is taking a while, so I will be right back, and we shall see what the stats look like in this game. Okay, you all, we are back. It had a hard time loading, but the Carolina Panthers versus the Atlanta Falcons. Carolina ends up losing to Atlanta, and Atlanta advances to 1-1, and the Carolina Panthers drop to 1-1. So 31-24 was the final score. Atlanta getting the victory. Matt Ryan racks up 4 touchdowns against the Panthers, so it definitely is something that you and kind of expect. Not just in the passing game, but he did run a few in as well. So great job there for Matt Ryan. He had passing yards was Cam Newton versus Matt Ryan. I'm surprised that they let Cam Newton throw this much in this game. 32 for 45, 335 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 1 interception. Then we go over to Matt Ryan, 23 for 28, 272 passing yards, 2 passing touchdowns and 2 rushing touchdowns, and 1 interception. So definitely a good game for Matt Ryan. Not used to him running the ball, but if he can, then he is deadly because he can also throw. So not bad at all. But looking at rushing yards, once again for the second straight week, the running back was Cam Newton. 5 carries, 42 yards, and it was against Telvin Coleman for the Atlanta Falcons. 16 carries for 170 yards, due to the fact that I believe Devontae Freeman either has a concussion or he is injured in some other way. Looking at receiving yards, though, Christian McCaffrey got the ball receiving out of the backfield and actually running it. 14 receptions, 102 yards for Christian McCaffrey against Calvin Ridley. Calvin Ridley, the rookie out of Alabama. No. Yes. And actually, let me just make sure that I'm not making a mistake. Hopefully, I'm saying this correctly. I ended up having a situation like this last week about where an NFL player went to college, and we're going to take a look. He went to college. Hello. Is it going to let me see his profile? Okay, I guess it doesn't want me to see his info. Let's go, ESPN stuff. Oh, yes, Alabama. Ooh, I'm glad I didn't get that wrong. It was either Alabama or Georgia. I'm glad I guessed the first one correctly this time out. But Calvin Ridley, a good game. More catches than Julio Jones. maybe not more catches, but more yards than Julio Jones. So 4 receptions, 64 yards. That is a good clip right there and a touchdown for the young rookie out of Alabama. But, guys, that is the end of that game right there. 31-24, Atlanta gets the victory. We move on to a game that, let's just be honest, we aren't very fond of, and that's the Chargers versus the Bills. I am surprised that the Buffalo Bills scored 20 points on the Los Angeles Chargers defense. Then again, I was surprised last week when the Chiefs smacked the Chargers all over the field. So it was absolutely crazy. But Melvin Gordon for the Chargers was the topic of discussion at running back. 3 touchdowns, rushing touchdowns. So pretty good right there. Yep, it was 3 rushing touchdowns, I believe. But other than that, let's take a look at the passing yards. It was Phillip Rivers versus Josh Allen. Josh Allen getting his first start in this one in his NFL career. And it's a great start against a fantastic quarterback in Phillip Rivers. We take a look at Phillip Rivers' stats. 23 for 27, 256 yards through the air, 3 touchdowns. This is scary because if Phillip Rivers plays like this every game, week in and week out, I'm telling you, don't be surprised if the Chargers make a deep run, especially when they get Joey Bosa back on defense. Oh, my goodness. Josh Allen, though, rookie start, 18 for 33, 245 yards through the air, 1 touchdown and 2 interceptions. So not as bad as Nathan Peterman, much better for the Buffalo Bills starting quarterback Josh Allen. Rushing yards, we got Eckler versus McCoy. 11 carries for 77 yards for Eckler. LaShawn McCoy, 9 carries for 39 yards. He did not get the ball as much as, let's say, he wanted or he did, and he kept on getting stopped in the backfield. So, interesting enough there. Take a look at receiving yards. We got Keenan Allen versus Jones. Keenan Allen, 6 receptions, 67 yards. Jones, 2 receptions, 63 yards. So, definitely an interesting outcome there in the receiving game. Not the best in receiving at all. Very interesting. But let's move on from this game. 31-20 was the final score. Buffalo goes to 0-2. The Chargers go to 1-1. Taking a look at this game right here. This is another interesting game as we take a look at the Vikings and Packers. Many people were not expecting Aaron Rodgers to come out and play, but the Vikings kicker made sure that, as well as, of course, the Packers kicker made sure that no one was going to win this game. The kicking day was terrible on Sunday, but I digress. Minnesota 29, Green Bay 29. Both of them with a draw on their record now, no losses, intact. Passing yards. It was a good passing performance by both of these two quarterbacks. Kirk Cousins versus Aaron Rodgers. Kirk Cousins, let's start off with him. 35 for 48, 425 yards, 4 touchdowns, and an interception. An interception that wasn't even his fault. It wasn't even his fault. I believe it went through his receiver's hands. Kirk Cousins is good. He is good. If you could do that week in and week out, Kirk Cousins, I'm telling you, you will make a good run in the NFC side of the playoffs. I'm telling you guys, the Minnesota Vikings are not a team to play with. Aaron Rodgers, though, 30 for 42, 281 through the air, 1 touchdown, and no interception. So Aaron Rodgers doing what Aaron Rodgers does. It's unfortunate that it had to come down to the kickers in overtime, as well as at the end of regulation. Rushing yards, Dalvin Cook versus Williams, 10 carries for 38 yards for Cook. Williams, 16 carries for 59 yards. Receiving yards, Adam Thielen versus Jimmy Graham. Adam Thielen, this wide receiver is so good. And so is Kirk Cousins. Oh, my goodness. Adam Thielen, 12 receptions, 131 yards, 1 touchdown. Jimmy Graham, 6 receptions, 95 yards, and no touchdowns. But definitely a shootout in this game between Kirk Cousins and pretty much Aaron Rodgers. A lot of passing going on in between both of these two quarterbacks. It's interesting seeing Kirk Cousins in a new uniform as well as him playing at the level he is playing at. It's absolutely insane. He is going to be up there in the MVP race if he continues what he has done throughout the past 2 weeks. Let's move on to the next game. The next game was, let's see. And the next game on that day, it was the Texans and Titans. An interesting one here, guys, and I don't think Deshaun Watson is going to be the same. Houston comes off to an 0-2 start, and the Texans are now 1-1. So 17-20 was the final score. Tennessee wins, but it's interesting. It pretty much came down to a field goal with the Texans kicker. Interesting enough. Passing yards, it was literally Deshaun Watson versus Blaine Gabbert. Since when have you heard of Blaine Gabbert out of Mizzou? It's been so long since I heard his name, and I didn't believe he was a backup at the Tennessee Titans until I actually saw him play, and I was like, oh, that's Blaine Gabbert. But Deshaun Watson, 22 for 32, 310 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, and an interception. I'm glad I started Patrick Mahomes this week against the Steelers instead of Deshaun Watson, because I had a feeling that the Tennessee Titans were playing at home, have a good defense, as well as, of course, I think Deshaun Watson is going to have a struggle year due to the fact that he is coming off of injury. Blaine Gabbert, 13 for 20, 117 yards, and a touchdown. Taking a look at rushing yards, we got Lamar Miller and Derrick Henry. Lamar Miller, 14 carries, 68 yards. Derrick Henry, 18 carries, 56 yards. Receiving yards out here, Will Fuller, the fifth, 8 receptions for 113 yards and a touchdown. And I don't know how to say this name, but he only had 1 reception and a touchdown and 66 yards. It is Cruikshank. Cruikshank, I think that's how you say it. I'm not sure, but that is his name. He had a touchdown off of 1 reception, 66-yard touchdown. That's actually pretty cool. 20-17 was the final score in this one. Tennessee goes to 1-1, as I said. Houston drops to 0-2 after losing to the Patriots the week prior. Interesting, guys. It's interesting taking a look at the teams you don't expect to be pretty good, and they end up showing up and showing out and saying, oh yeah, we're good this year. Browns and the Saints. Oh my goodness. I'm sorry for the Browns. I'm so sorry for the Browns. It's like they can't get out of their own way. They just can't. Played everything right. Played all their cards right in week 1 against the Steelers. It came down to the kicker. He missed it. Played all their cards right against the Saints. It came down to a kicker, and the Saints win. Absolutely insane late game drama. I'm shocked that the Saints barely beat the Browns. I'm kind of shocked about that. But everything had to go the right way. 18-21, the Browns lose against the New Orleans Saints. New Orleans advanced to 1-1 after losing to Tampa Bay the week prior. And Cleveland advanced to 0-1-1. So a draw and a loss on their record. No win still. Cleveland can't get out. Cleveland can't get out of the dugout. My goodness gracious. Okay, let's take a look at passing yards. Tyrod Taylor versus Drew Brees. A good game from Tyrod Taylor. He managed the game. He made the most of his opportunities. 22 for 30, 246 passing yards, a touchdown, and an interception. Against Drew Brees, 28 for 35, 243 through the air, and 2 touchdowns, guys. So Drew Brees doing Drew Brees things, staying consistent as he always has been throughout his NFL career. But other than that, rushing yards, it was Carlos Hyde versus Alvin Kamara. Carlos Hyde for Cleveland, 16 carries, 43 yards, and a touchdown. Alvin Kamara, 13 carries, 46 yards, no touchdowns anywhere to be seen. Receiving yards, we got Callaway for the Browns, 3 receptions, 81 yards, and a touchdown. And Michael Thomas, 12 receptions, 89 yards, and 2 touchdowns. So definitely an interesting game here. New Orleans getting really lucky against the Cleveland Browns, because if they would have lost to the Cleveland Browns, they would have started off their season 0-2 like they did last year. But they bounced back throughout the season last year, and I don't think they were going to be able to bounce back after losing to Tampa and Cleveland. If that was the case and they did lose to Cleveland, that would have been devastating, especially in their home stadium. Moving on, you all. Another game. We're going to slide down to another game. Hopefully, I don't know what's going on with ESPN right now, but it's not allowing me to see the stats, so I'll be right back in a second. Okay, next up we had the Miami Dolphins versus the New York Jets. Ryan Tannehill is back, and the Dolphins are looking pretty nice, especially on the defensive side. with Minkah Fitzpatrick. He's really good, guys. He is a good player on the defensive side of the ball. The final score in this one was 20-12 against the New York Jets. The Miami Dolphins go to 2-0. The Jets go to 1-1. But Sam Darnold isn't fazed by anything. This kid is insane. Passing yards, we got Ryan Tannehill versus Sam Darnold, okay? Ryan Tannehill, 17 for 23, 168 yards and 2 touchdowns. A game manager in this game. A great game manager in this game. And Sam Darnold, 25 for 41, 334 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. Now, he turned the ball over. Yes, you understand that. But 330 passing yards in the second game, in the second start of his career? Sam Darnold is putting in that work. My goodness gracious, he's going to be special in the future. All the Jets need to do is build a wide receiver core around him, and he will kill this NFL. Rushing yards, we got Kenyon Drake against Isaiah Crowell, 11 carries for 53 yards and a touchdown for Drake. Crowell had 12 carries for 35 yards in this one. Receiving yards, we got Wilson for the Miami Dolphins, 3 receptions, 37 yards and a touchdown. And for the Jets, Inua, 7 receptions, 92 yards. And that's it. No touchdown for him in this game. But an interesting game there in New York. 20-12 was the final score between the Jets and the Miami Dolphins. Moving on once more, we got the Eagles and the Buccaneers. A good game here because the Buccaneers are the truth with Ryan Fitzpatrick at the quarterback helm. I don't think they need Jameis Winston if he continues to play how he's playing. He is trying to go for that MVP this year because he has the Fitzpatrick magic. It's still here, you all. Fitzpatrick magic, it didn't go away last week. It came back this week. So here's what happened in this game. Philadelphia 1-1, 21 points in this game. Tampa Bay advanced to 2-0, 27 points in this game. So just a 6-point victory, but Minkah Fitzpatrick doesn't care. He wants to go after everyone. He went after Drew Brees. Now he went after Nick Foles. Not that Nick Foles is something special, but he did win a Super Bowl, so it makes sense. With a great squad around him, especially on defense. Looking at Nick Foles, he got 35 for 48, 334 yards and a touchdown. So it wasn't Nick Foles' fault in this game that they lost. He didn't have any turnovers. But Ryan Fitzpatrick said, "Oh, really? 1 touchdown? Ha ha ha. You're funny." 27 for 33, 402 yards, 4 touchdowns, and 1 interception. Are you kidding me? 27 for 33 on the Philadelphia Eagles defense? Looking like Tom Brady in the Super Bowl. Putting up 500 yards against the Philadelphia Eagles. And still losing. But Ryan Fitzpatrick won. 4 touchdowns. Good Lord. What is going on with this? Rushing yards. We got Clement versus Barber. Clement, 6 carries, 30 yards, 1 touchdown. Barber, not a good rushing day, and that's why Ryan Fitzpatrick threw it everywhere. 16 carries for 22 yards. That's absolutely terrible. I'm sorry. Receiving yards, Zach Ertz versus Deshaun Jackson. It looks like Deshaun Jackson's getting back into his prime once again. Zach Ertz, though, 11 receptions, 94 yards. Deshaun Jackson, 4 receptions, 129 yards, and a touchdown. Almost all of those have been bombs down the field. Oh my goodness. I'm surprised with Tampa Bay. I don't think they need Jameis Winston. I think Jameis Winston needs to go somewhere else. Really, if Ryan Fitzpatrick continues to play play at the level he's playing all season, trade Jameis Winston and get some trade value out of him. I'm sorry. I don't need Jameis Winston if Ryan Fitzpatrick, an older quarterback, a veteran quarterback, has all this magic on him and is absolutely throwing dimes all the way down the field and putting up 400 yards against a good defense in Philadelphia. My goodness. Next up was the Colts and the Redskins. The Redskins, they're not looking too good. Had an okay week 1, a pretty good week 1, I would say, but ended up losing to the Colts. Now, that is something I was not expecting, and I think I have a good reason why. Let's see. Indianapolis advanced to 1-1 with 21 points in this game. Washington dropped down to 1-1 with 9 points in this game. I think they were all field goals, I think. Yeah, they were all field goals. Wow. Okay. Passing yards, Andrew Luck versus Alex Smith. Andrew Luck said, I had a shoulder injury all last season, but I can still throw the ball around a little bit. 21 for 31, 179 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. Alex Smith, a game manager in this one, but it's unfortunate that they could only get field goals on the board because no one got in the end zone for Washington, not even Adrian Peterson. 33 for 46, 292 passing yards. He threw the ball a lot, but it's unfortunate that they didn't get the victory in this one. Rushing yards, we got Wilkins versus Crowder. Wilkins for Indianapolis, 10 carries, 61 yards. That is pretty much 6.1 yards a carry. That's pretty good out there in these streets. Crowder, 2 carries, 29 yards. Why he got the ball as little as he did, that is pretty much 14 yards a carry. Why didn't he get the ball more? I don't understand that. Okay, oh well. Receiving yards, T.Y. Hilton, 7 receptions, 83 yards, and a touchdown. And Thompson for the Redskins, the running back, 13 receptions, 92 yards. So, interesting game for Washington. Not good, especially against the Colts, who gave you the ball 2 times with Andrew Luck throwing to you. I'm not sure what happened there. Let's move on. Let's take a look at oh man, I really didn't want to talk about this game, but I guess we can. Cardinals and Rams. The Rams said, yeah, we beat the Raiders last week in the black hole, and now we're going to beat the brakes off of the Arizona Cardinals. We're going to take them behind the woodshed and show them how it's done. Arizona, I don't know what is going on with them over there. Sam Bradford. My goodness. 34-0. I'm sorry, but if you're an NFL team and you get beat like that, you should not have a franchise anymore. I'm sorry. You should not. 34-0. If you can't even get a field goal, I would respect the Arizona Cardinals if they got a field goal up. Okay, that is understandable. But I think y'all need to go to Josh Rosen. Y'all need to throw him out into the wolves like the Jets threw Sam Darnold out into the wolves. Crazy. Oh my gosh. Oh, well, I think I know why. Let's see. Passing yards for Sam Bradford versus Jared Goff. 17 for 27, 90 yards, and a touchdown. Whoa, and an interception. Sorry, not a touchdown for Sam Bradford because they have 0 points. Not a good game from Sam Bradford. 90 yards on 17 completions. That's not looking real good, buddy. Jared Goff, though, 24 for 32, 354 yards, a touchdown and an interception. He gave you guys a chance. Jared Goff threw you all the ball. How did you not capitalize on that? The momentum should have swayed in their favor, but hey, who am I to talk? I'm just stating my opinion. Rushing yards, we got Duke Johnson. 13 carries. Oh, not Duke Johnson. It is David Johnson. I got it right this time. 13 carries, 48 yards. Brown for the Rams. I think Todd Gurley ended up getting hurt because if Brown had the most rushing yards, what happened with Gurley? 12 carries for 46 yards for Brown. Receiving yards. Larry Fitzgerald had 3 receptions, 28 yards, and Brandon Cook 7 receptions, 159 yards. So not that much to talk about in this game. Just an absolute smashing of the Arizona Cardinals in this one. Moving on. We're going to move on to the Lions and the 49ers. Lions and the 49ers. Now, this was a good game. Jimmy G versus Matthew Stafford and the Lions. I don't know what's going on with the Lions, though, because they got smacked by the Jets, and they almost had the San Francisco 49ers and Jimmy G or Jimmy Garoppolo. 27-30, the Lions lose. They go down to 0-2. The 49ers advance to 1-1. This was a good game. This was a pretty good game in this one. And we're going to take a look at the passing stats. Passing yards. Oh, my goodness. No turnovers from either quarterback? What is this? Matthew Stafford, Jimmy Garoppolo. Matthew Stafford started off 34 for 53. 347 passing yards, 3 touchdowns. Jimmy Garoppolo, 18 for 26. 206 yards, 2 touchdowns. Wow. A good game from both quarterbacks. It was a passing display. Rushing yards. Kerryon Johnson, 8 carries for 43 yards, the rookie. out of Auburn. Breda. Have him on fantasy too. 11 carries for 138 yards and a touchdown. Let's go. That's what I'm talking about. Receiving yards. Golden Tate versus Pierre Garçon. Golden Tate, 7 receptions for 109 yards. Pierre Garçon, 4 receptions for 57 yards. So, no turnovers. It looks like anyway. This is interesting. I was shocked about this. Oh, that's why Kerryon Johnson ended up getting the touches, because LeGarrette Blount got ejected. That makes sense. Okay, well, interesting. But, guys, a good game here. A great game. But it's unfortunate that the Lions start off 0-2, especially with that new coach, Matt Patricia. He's struggling out here. We move on. Patriots and Jaguars. A good game, and I think this would have been the game of the week if not for a few others. 31-20. Jacksonville and Blake Bortles. Oh, my Lord. Blake Bortles said, Brady who? Blake Bortles. So, the Patriots dropped to 1-1 with 20 points, and the Jacksonville Jaguars advanced to 2-0 after beating the Giants the week prior, 31 points. Now, guys, Blake Bortles said, I'm a game manager now. He said, I'm better than Brady. He said all these things, right? Well, Brady still had a good game. 24 for 35, 234 yards and 2 touchdowns. Now, don't believe me when I said Blake Bortles said that. I'm just saying Blake Bortles doesn't do this often. He does it every 7-8 weeks of the NFL season. But other than that, let's go on. Blake Bortles, 29 for 45, 377 passing yards, 4 touchdowns, and an interception. He said, let me manage the game, coach. Let me manage the coach. We don't have Leonard Fournette, not a problem. I got this team. Put the team on his back and said 4 touchdown passes in your face, Bill Belichick. The defensive-minded coach. Rushing yards. Sony Michel versus TJ Yeldon. 10 carries for 34 yards for Sony Michel, 3.4 yards a carry in that. And TJ Yeldon, 10 carries for 58 yards, 5.8 yards a carry. So not bad still running it. I had Yeldon as a flex player. He didn't get me a lot of points, but hey, it's all good. Receiving yards, we got White for the New England Patriots, 7 receptions, 73 yards, and Cole for the Jacksonville Jaguars, 7 receptions, 116 yards, 1 touchdown. So definitely a good game in Jacksonville. And it seems like when you take Brady away from Foxborough, anybody can beat him. And that hopefully is the case in the playoffs, because I want a team to have home field advantage over the Patriots because they struggle on the road. But when they're at Foxborough, it is literally basically impossible to beat them because of the crowd behind them and, of course, Brady being Brady. Giants and Cowboys. This was a Sunday night game. Yeah, it was a Sunday night game, and we're going to take a look at what happened with the New York Football Giants. Have Saquon Barkley, Odell, and Eli? Interesting. And the Dallas Cowboys didn't go to 1-1, so the final score was 20-13, a 7-point win for Dallas. And Dak Prescott, he said, say no more. Want to challenge me? I'll throw the ball a little bit. Not a lot, though. Eli Manning, 33 for 44, 279 yards and a touchdown. Dak Prescott, 16 for 25, 160 yards and a touchdown. He also did a lot of running in this game as well. Trucking people over, getting up all hyped. Hey, that's what you want to see in your quarterback. And I have a feeling as soon as Baker Mayfield starts in Cleveland, that's going to be him. That's going to be Baker. He's going to start running people over and killing them. Rushing yards, Saquon Barkley, a terrible game rushing, 11 carries for 28 yards. And Ezekiel Elliott, 17 carries for 78 yards and a touchdown. Receiving yards, Saquon Barkley caught the ball, 14 receptions, 80 yards. 14 times he caught the ball. Literally looking like a Le'Veon Bell out there. And then Tavon Austin, 2 receptions for 79 yards and a touchdown. So definitely an interesting game in the receiving game as Tavon Austin pretty much beat the back line of defense and got a big run after the catch. And then, of course, probably a shorter gain. How about that? Moving on, we don't need to really talk about that game because, let's just be honest. It's just the Cowboys and Giants. That's it. But Monday Night Football, the final game of the week, Chicago go to 1-1. Seattle goes to 0-2. Now, what was the deciding factor? It seems like that Khalil Mack and another defensive player by the name of Amukamara led the Bears over the Seahawks 24-17. And also, the Chicago Bears had 6 sacks against Russell Wilson. That definitely helps. So, I don't know what happened. So, let's actually take a look at the passing game. Oh, this happened. Russell Wilson versus Mitchell Trubisky. He has to learn to stop turning the ball over. I'm not talking about Russell Wilson. I'm talking about Mitchell Trubisky. He needs to learn to stop throwing interceptions because that's going to be the downfall if they try to go far in the regular season in the sense of trying to make the playoffs. Russell Wilson, 22 for 36, 226 yards passing, 2 touchdowns and an interception. Mitchell Trubisky, 25 for 34, 200 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. So, yeah, as I said, he needs to stop turning the ball over. Otherwise, they're going to lose a lot of games. And if the Seattle Seahawks defense was elite, they would have took those to the house. And, of course, if Russell Wilson had a better offense, they would have had an opportunity to capitalize on his mistakes, but they didn't. Rushing yards was Rashad Penny versus Jordan Howard. Rashad Penny, 3 yards a carry, 10 carries for 30 yards. Jordan Howard, 14 carries for 35 yards. Not a good running game necessarily. It was mainly a passing performance. As we look at the receiving yards, we got Tyler Lockett, 5 receptions, 60 yards, and a touchdown, and Allen Robinson, 10 receptions for 83 yards. So, not a bad game in this one, guys. I'm actually happy that the Chicago Bears are doing well because of Khalil Mack, due to the fact that I was never a Raider fan. But if you disrespect, like the Raiders did Khalil Mack, then I have no faith in you at all because you just screwed up. Your best player who got you stacks and got you pressure, and he ends up saying, oh, well, we need a better pass rush. Oh, well, we didn't get to the, to the quarterback. I wonder why it is, John Gruden. But that is neither here nor there. Thank you so much for your support, you all. I will actually come back tomorrow with the Week 3 matchups for you all so that we can kind of predict and see who's going to get the W and see how we did next Tuesday. So I appreciate your support, you all. You guys are awesome. Like and subscribe. We are at 50 subscribers, so I appreciate all the new faces to the channel. But let's get some more, guys. Let's get more people here. And tell your friends about this podcast. I just try to state my opinion. Yes, I know not a lot of people agree with other people's opinions, but it's just my opinion. It really doesn't mean much. So please be as respectful as you can in the comment section down below. And let me know how you felt about this week's game and the missed kicks and all that. Let me know, guys. I will be back with you all soon. Thank you so much. Like and subscribe, and have a good one.